I have everything I need to make content. I have microphones. I have cameras. I got an iPhone, AI. I got scripts, ideals. I already got all the stories mapped out in my head. I even have things already recorded that I haven't posted. So why is it so hard to just hit record? Why is it so hard to talk when nobody's in the room? Or maybe the bigger question is, what am I actually afraid of? You see, I got plenty of things that I've wanted to record, but I haven't. Plenty of topics that have come to mind that I've jotted down in notebooks, that I've started recordings in my voice memo app, that I have scripts already made out for. But I have plenty of recordings sitting unpublished, in my draft feed, in several different places. And it had me thinking as I was sitting here, it's easy to talk naturally in a conversation versus speaking into the microphone. It's not as easy as most people think to just have a conversation when you know that there's no one actually listening. And you really don't know if anyone will listen, right? Having more tools than I think I've ever had in my life, but I'm still struggling to execute. And if you're the same, then stick around because we're going to talk about that, right? Because there's a strange feeling knowing what you want and still hitting the red light. So this episode almost became another one of those type of episodes, right? One that I just didn't record because I was like, the title sounds a little corny. But then I thought about it. That's the irony in this conversation. I'm recording an episode about having troubles recording episodes. And maybe that's exactly why I needed to record this. Because I don't think I'm the only person dealing with this. Maybe yours isn't a podcast. Maybe it's the book that you're supposed to write. Maybe it's the book, the business that you haven't launched, right? Maybe it's the app that you haven't taken live yet. The phone call you haven't made, the video you haven't posted. You get what I'm saying? The article you haven't typed, the research you didn't do. And I can keep going on and on, right? You keep saying that you're getting ready to, but eventually we have to ask ourselves, am I preparing or am I just hiding behind my preparation? You see, when you're talking to a friend, you're just talking. The conversation is natural. When I'm at a networking event, I can stand for hours and engage people. So much so that normally Vonnie and I are the last two people at any event we go to. We're normally the ones that they have to tell to leave. Now, granted, we probably got there a little bit late too, but we closed the place out, okay? Because we talk and we can talk. And we enjoy talking to people. We enjoy talking to people about their real estate deals. We enjoy talking to people about their business ventures, about their dreams. So we'll talk to people for hours. And it comes so natural. But for some reason, when it's time to turn on that camera, when it's time to hit record, when it's time to when I get to a place where I can allow myself to be overcritical of what I'm doing, I end up finding myself hiding from actually hitting record or actually hitting post. And, you know, when you're recording, suddenly we start to evaluate ourselves while we're speaking. Like, I don't know about you, but I started thinking stuff like, did that sound stupid? Did I say that correctly? Am I rambling? I'm a rambler, y'all. I ramble sometimes. You're going to hear me go on a tangent sometimes, okay? That's why my episodes vary in ranges. You may get a 6-minute episode. You might get a 30-minute episode. You may get an hour-long episode, depending on how much comes out. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also, I have to learn how to conquer that. You know, I can't predict what people are going to think. I can't predict if somebody's going to disagree with me or not. Actually, I can predict that. Somebody's going to disagree with me, right? Somebody's not going to like the way I said something, right? Not everybody's going to even care about what I'm talking about. But once I get over the imposter syndrome, the question of who am I to talk about this and is this good enough to publish, that's when I can actually start communicating. Because before that, we're just performing. We're judging performance. We're performing and judging our performance simultaneously. So imagine you're at a concert, you're part of the concert, but then you're also critiquing yourself as you're playing. You'll never get through the competition because you're going to be constantly trying to correct, and it's going to sound horrible to your actual audience. So that's why we got to do it naturally, right? The way that I'm talking now is my natural pacing. Now I may use some editing, some places where I'll take out the dead spots, but overall, what you're going to get is me talking. And what that does is when someone comes and sees me in person, they already know who they're getting. You're not getting some over polished version of me when you listen to me on podcasts or on YouTube. But maybe hitting record isn't hard because we don't know what to say. Maybe hitting record is hard because hitting record creates the possibility of us being judged by others. Right? An ideal inside my head is safe. It's secure. It's free from judgment of anyone outside of me and God. Right? Nobody can criticize it. Nobody can misunderstand it. Nobody can scroll past it. Nobody can laugh at it. Nobody can tell me that I'm wrong. But the moment that I publish it, the moment I make it public, it doesn't belong exclusively to me anymore. Matter of fact, now I'm worried that somebody's going to steal my idea. Other people get to have an opinion about it. And sometimes that's very uncomfortable. But here's something I'm having to confront in myself. You know what I'm saying? Like perfectionism, like our need to be perfect can look like preparation. And here's what I'm saying, right? Preparation can become procrastination, wearing a respectable uniform. It's dressed up looking all nice, but really, this preparation is me procrastinating on just hitting record. I'm going to do another script, another outline. I need another microphone. I need another piece of software so that I can stream on multiple platforms at one time. I need another hour of researching as if AI couldn't do that in 2 seconds for me, right? I need another edit. Oh, I need to hire somebody to edit. Oh, I need an animated faceless YouTube channel, right? I need another take. All those things can be useful, but at some point, the preparation has at some point the preparation has completed in its mission time. And at that point, the only thing left for us to do is to execute. Now, I've talked about AI several times, and to be honest with you, with AI now, this whole thing has become so much easier. You know what I'm saying? Like when I go to AI, I already have my concepts. I sometimes already have my script. Like I'm talking to you right now. I'm gonna take this recording and upload it into the AI, and I'm gonna have the AI pull everything of use out of what I'm talking about and put it into a quick little guide sheet. You get what I'm saying? These are little things that you could do using AI to boost your productivity. I'm not having the AI think for me. I'm having the AI assist me the same way I would do if I went and hired somebody from Fiverr or Upwork, but the AI is going to do it quicker and cheaper, right? You already got concepts. You already got scripts. You already got equipment. You already have enough material. You don't need another productivity tool to hit the button. At some point, the problem stops being capability and becomes willingness. It's not because you can't do it, it's because you won't do it. And when that happens, that is a true problem, right? Because the Bible says not because they could not know, it's because they would not know. That is worse than could not know. It's one thing for you to not have the ability to do something, but once you have the ability to do it and you choose not to do it, at that point you are sinning and transgressing against not only against yourself, but against God in many cases, right? Because especially if it's part of your calling, use your resources and let's get some stuff done in 2026. Write that book, right? I want all of you guys to ask yourself out loud: what am I waiting to happen before I give myself permission to speak? And don't rush to answer. I want you to really think about that. I think part of the problem might be that I'm trying to sound like the person I'll become after I've done this 1,000 times, right? But I haven't done it 1,000 times. I'm trying to sound like the person that I hear in my head, the other gurus that I listen to that I want to be like. I wish I could sound like Myron Golden, but I'm not Myron Golden, for one. Myron's been doing this for way more longer than I have. He has way more experience, way more knowledge. The information flows out of him way different than it does out of me. So for me to want to sound like him is me putting the cart before the horse. I need to learn more from him and then develop my voice more and more and more. And then at some point I have talked 1,000 times and then I am there or I am at my next pinnacle. But today, and this is what today sounds like, right? Maybe I'm comparing my first 100 reps to someone else's 10,000th rep. Maybe I'm trying to skip the awkward parts, right? There's going to be some awkward parts. You may not like how your voice sounds. You're like, oh, that's how I really sound. Oh well, right? But what if the awkward parts that you see aren't evidence that you're doing it wrong? What if the awkward parts in one of the reps is actually the thing that boosts you at some point? You see, I've learned through that repetition is the key to everything. During my time in the Marine Corps, training is repetition over and over and over and over and over. You do the same drill over and over and over and over until it feels like second nature. You don't think in combat. You rely on your training, and the only way that happens is through reps, through repetitions, right? In real estate, the only way that you can be a successful real estate investor is to get reps, right? Realtors have to get reps. They got to get clients on the phone. They got to get clients in the door. They got to go out and talk to people. That's reps. Running, you got to get reps. If you want to get your distance up, you got to get reps in. You got to start running longer distances. You got to run more than one day out of the week. You got to run longer distances. You know, if you want to run a marathon, you need to be running a marathon on a weekly basis when you accumulate your hours, your mileage up. Like, it all requires reps. Public speaking requires reps. Parenting requires reps. Entrepreneurship requires reps. Think about things that once required conscious effort that eventually became natural for you. Walking is one of them, right? Ever seen a baby walking? They got to think about where their feet gonna go. When the last time you had to do that? Aside from when you probably got too intoxicated, and then you wasn't thinking, you was just wobbling. It's still a second nature. Maybe that's a bad example, but that's the first one that came to mind, unfortunately. But I always ask myself, like, what have I become comfortable doing today that I was once uncomfortable doing? You know what I'm saying? Because that means that I've put in reps. When you first start running again, you feel uncomfortable until you put in reps, and then you realize that it wasn't that bad. When you first start going to the gym, the weights feel uncomfortable until you put reps in, and then it's not that bad. Next thing you know, you're throwing around at those 245s. Feels like nothing to you. It's all a muscle. We got to work our muscles, right? And maybe one of the reasons posting feels so heavy is because I've assigned too much importance to every individual piece of content. Every piece of content sounds like the home run for me. But every episode doesn't have to change my life. Doesn't have to change, hopefully it changes someone's life, but it doesn't have to change my life. Every episode isn't gonna go viral. Doesn't have to go viral. I mean, it could. Hopefully that happens for you. Every thought doesn't have to be profound. Sometimes I just need to share whatever was put on my heart. Every post doesn't have to prove that I deserve an audience. Sometimes it's just a rep. Hit record, say something useful, publish it, learn, do it again. Okay? That doesn't mean quality doesn't matter. It means quality is often developed through quantity. Is often developed through intentional practice, through reps. You can't do a quality bench press until you've done a couple of reps. And once you start to get used to the weight, you can get your form together, and then the quality of those reps start to come in. But until you start doing some reps, you can't do one rep and then be like, that was so hard, I don't know how to do it. No, you got to do it a few times. You got to get them little weak muscles underneath your armpits in shape. You know what I'm talking about, the ones you didn't know you had until you start lifting something. You find out there's muscles in your shoulders that you didn't know were there. You got to work those muscles out. Same thing when you're speaking. There's a muscle in your throat that you didn't know was there. It's going to tickle when you get talking too much. You're going to start choking. Then your mouth going to get dry. You're going to want to stop talking then. Take a sip of water. Take a sip of Coke, whatever it is. Take a sip of coffee and keep on going. Speaking of coffee, check out my Buy Me a Coffee. But here's another question to ask yourself. When you're afraid to post, who are you imagining? Is it a stranger that's critiquing you? Is it a friend? Is it a peer entrepreneur? Um, is it a family member? Is it someone who maybe is more successful than you? Somebody waiting to point out what's wrong? See, sometimes we're supposedly speaking to hundreds of potential listeners while emotionally performing for one imaginary critic. For some of us, we're that critic. But for some of us, it's the person who has always been critical of what we do. But if they're not in your audience, don't worry about that. You see, maybe I've been asking the wrong question. I've been asking, what are people going to think about me? But I learned that I should have been asking, who might need to hear this? Because those questions like that, who needs to hear this? That's completely different type of content. You see, what are people going to think about this? That makes me want to protect myself. Because I want to try to control how people think about it. But when this, who might need to hear this, it makes me want to serve somebody, right? That's me I want to solve somebody's problem. Let's do it. I only need the one person that's meant to hear the story to hear it. And for the one part to resonate to them. Even if it's not the entire thing. We're at almost 20 minutes on this one. And, I only need 30 seconds to hit the right person. By the grace of God, and that's it. right? There's another side of this challenge that challenges me as a Christian, right? If God has entrusted something to me, a story, an experience, wisdom, opportunity, testimony, lesson, whatever it is, what am I supposed to do with it? See, burying something protects it, but buried things don't multiply. Remember the story of the rich ruler and the talents. He gave the talents to his servants, and one buried it, and to him that was wicked. Why would you bury it when you know that I am about multiplying my money? Why would you bury it when you know that God is a God of multiplication? Right? And in the parable of the talents, that's what we learned. You know, what had been entrusted was entrusted to us shouldn't be returned the same way it was received. Because see, in that story, he didn't just lose it, you know, but he didn't multiply it either. How many things have I buried because I was afraid of what might happen if I put them to work? Think about that. Now, I'm not claiming that every thought is divine messaging by any means. But as you ponder on wisdom, you share your lessons and the things that you learn. Someone else gets to learn that, right? I've accumulated a lot of experiences. I got well, I have technically over a decade of military service. I've been married three times. I'm a father. I have kids that I don't see and kids that I do see. I'm a business owner. I have wins. I have failures. I'm a real estate investor. I believe that I have good leadership skills. I'm a man of faith, but I've made mistakes. And you see, those are all experiences that can help somebody. And what happens when I continue to keep that to myself, though? It doesn't help anybody. You see, maybe another mistake I'm making is trying to talk to the internet. You see, you can't talk to the internet. That's too many people. Instead, we talk to one person. Right now, I'm talking to one veteran who's trying to figure out what's next. I'm talking to one father trying to build something his children can inherit. Right now, I'm talking to that one entrepreneur wondering if he or she should keep going. The one believer who's struggling to trust God in an uncertain season. I'm talking to the one person sitting where I used to sit. You see, we don't need to speak to everybody. We just need to serve somebody. And if we don't do anything, we won't serve nobody. Might have to put that into a song. So I'm going to give you my record before it's ready rule. Okay? And hopefully this is something practical for you, right? This is a 5-step rule, right? 1, know the one thing. Before recording, I want you to finish this sentence. If they remember nothing else, I want them to remember blank. Not 7 lessons, just one. One thing that you want them to learn. Like for me, for this one. If they remember nothing else, I want them to remember to hit record. That's all I want you to remember from this one lesson. All right. Rule number 2 of the 5-step rule is give yourself permission to make a bad first take. If you have to start over, that's okay. The first recording doesn't have to be published. Sometimes its job is just to exist. However, don't use that as an excuse not to publish. Number 3, don't restart because of a small mistake. Now, bad take you can have. A stumble, you say, it's okay, keep talking. Right? You use the wrong word, it's okay, correct yourself and continue. Just like you would do in a regular conversation. You gotta pause. Real people don't speak in jump cuts, right? That's editing. It's okay to have to just talk normal. Be you. Number 4, finish it before you start evaluating it. Right now, I could be judging what I'm saying. I could be critical of how I said a certain word because my accent came out. I'm from country. And I could get critical and hit stop this recording, and then I'll never pick it back up. Don't decide whether the episode is good while you're still recording. All right? You're a speaker first, and then you're an editor. Sometimes it's okay to just be a speaker and then post it, though. And then put a deadline on yourself for publishing. Because otherwise, editing becomes another placeholder. Now you have hundreds of drafts sitting there with no plan to publish. Okay, so that's the 5 rules that I want you to remember. So the 5-step rule, the record before ready rule. Okay, and again, that's know the one thing, give yourself permission to make a bad take, don't restart just because of a small mistake, finish before you evaluate yourself, and put a deadline on your publish. Okay, now I'm gonna challenge everybody to a 100 rep challenge. All right, and I know you don't need another strategy. I don't think you guys need another how-to. You just need more reps. So here's the challenge that I'm considering for myself, and I'm gonna invite you guys onto that too. Right? Stop judging individual recordings. Judge the next 100. Record, publish, learn, repeat. That's what we want to do. Record, publish, learn, repeat. And don't ask, am I good at this yet? Ask, did I get my rep today? Did I get my rep today? You look goofy in the gym until you get your reps in. And then you start to look like a guy who goes to the gym. But it's okay. If you never look goofy, you never look like the guy who went to the gym. So let's get in the gym. Let's record, publish, learn, repeat. And let's do that over and over and over and over and over until you become the people who just hit record. Talking becomes easy. And then we'll go back and critique those last 100 in preparation for the next 100. Okay? Can we agree to that? Can we explore what that could look like realistically? Like, I'm not necessarily saying you got to do 100 full podcast episodes. It could be a mix. It could be podcast episodes, short videos, Substack notes with a video, live videos. You can go live, right? Voiceovers. We can count voiceovers. We'll even count quick thoughts, little quick tidbits. Interviews. Do interviews. Like, the objective is to just normalize speaking publicly. Socially, publicly, however you look at it. Social media is public speaking now. Okay? Now, before we get out of here, I'm gonna leave on a deeper question, right? Because there's one question I don't want to escape before turning this into another productivity. I don't want this to turn into another productivity framework, because we can make checklists all day. The real question is, what are you afraid of? Or what are you afraid will happen if you actually become consistent? Because failure isn't the only thing that scares us. Success creates responsibility too, right? And if people start listening to us, we got to keep showing up. If the platform grow expectations grow. If opportunities come, decisions come with them. And maybe sometimes you're not afraid of nothing happening. Maybe you are afraid that something will happen. And if that's the thing, then let's explore that honestly and let's figure out what the next steps are. You see, that's exactly what this podcast and what this connection here exists for, right? I told you guys I like to hear your dreams. I like to help you work through it. Because sometimes you may need that outside voice to help you to understand what is it that I'm afraid of and how do I get past it. Maybe you just need an accountability partner. Maybe you need somebody there to help you count the reps. Okay? You push, I count. The thing is you don't have to figure this all out at once. That's probably the most important thing I can tell you. I'm recording this episode from inside of this exact same struggle with you. Not from the other side of it. But you see, we all have like our things that we have to work on, even though we're able to help somebody else. That's why you can have a personal trainer that can train you and get you to the Olympics, but they're out of shape themselves. They got something that they still need to work on, but it doesn't mean that they can't train you. So I'm here with you, right? And we're gonna get through this. I'm your workout partner. Let's get our reps in. And there are still things sitting on my computer that I need to post. Right? So you guys help me stay accountable. Make sure you get in there and you read it and you listen to it when I post it. So that we can, and let's help keep each other motivated. You know, there are still episodes in my head that I need to record. There are episodes in your head that you need to record. And there will probably still be moments that when I stare at that record button, the longer than I should. You know what I mean? I'm going to stare at it. But maybe courage isn't getting to the point where hitting record isn't scary or doesn't hesitate. Maybe it's just hitting record even while it is scary. You know what I'm saying? Confidence isn't what comes before the rep. You know, confidence is what the reps produce. Like the more I get the reps in, the more confident I am with the fact that I can lift this weight. But when I don't have any reps, I'm not even confident that I'm not going to smash my head in when I lift this weight up. So I'm going to finish this episode and I'm going to publish it. And then I'm going to record another one because the message can't help anybody while it's sitting inside of my head and neither can yours. So remember, hit record. Now, there's something you've been sitting on. You probably already know what it is. Before today ends, make one imperfect attempt. Record the video, write the first page, send the email, make the phone call, submit the application. Don't finish the entire journey. Just stop hiding at the start line. If you've been struggling with this too, reply to this episode and tell me what you've been afraid of. What is it that you're afraid to put into the world? And if you know somebody sitting on a message or an idea or a business or a calling because they're waiting to feel ready or, send them this episode. Maybe neither one of us need to feel ready. Maybe we just need our next rep. So this week, go and check out the Christaholic soundtrack. Obedience is a step. Remember, sometimes the next step is just doing what we've already been told to do, because that's how we get to learn what the next step is. And this week, hit record. Peace.